An update to the story that we spoke about before. The student who was given, sorry, ex-student now, was given a verdict in court. He was a right-wing extremist, and I believe he was in possession of bomb-making manuals and stuff like that. And the judge sentenced him to read classic English literature in order to reform his ways. And it wasn't 100% effective, but it did have a positive effect on the guy. Right? It seemed to actually be working and pulling him back from, making him de-radicalized. However, that wasn't enough for some people, because for a lot of people, especially groups like Hope Not Hate, who pushed for what we're about to talk about today, it is not about reformation, but punishment. It's all about punishment. No type of, not rehabilitation, not reformation, punishment. That's what these people want. And punishment leads to the opposite of rehabilitation and reformation, as we have seen in very, very many cases. Ben John, ex-student told to read classic literature after being convicted of terrorism offence, is jailed. Ben John, 22, had his sentence increased at the Court of Appeal after Lord Justice Holroyd, Holroyd, I don't care, quashed the original, finding it was unlawful. A former student who was given a suspended prison sentence and told to read classic literature after being convicted of a terrorism offence has now been jailed. Ben John, described by police as a white supremacist with a neo-Nazi ideology, was given a 2-year suspended term at Leicester Crown Court last August. The 22-year-old from Lincoln has now been jailed for 2 years after Lord Justice Holroyd quashed the original sentence at the Court of Appeal, finding it was unlawful. Lord Justice Holroyd said, "We are satisfied that there must be a sentence of immediate imprisonment for owning a book." That's one of the main things that got him convicted for owning. I think it was the Anarchist Cookbook that he owned. John was convicted of possessing a record likely to be useful to a person committing or preparing an act of terrorism after he was found with a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook, which contains instructions for making weapons, explosives, and illegal drugs. And remember what I said in my video that I did on banned books. The Anarchist Cookbook, although it is legal, technically legal for you to own if you're connected, and this isn't just far right, if you're connected to far left, or even if you're like extreme libertarian or extreme authoritarian, if you belong to any type of political extreme or any type of group that the government absolutely has an eye on, and you are in possession of that book, it's a jail sentence. It's a jail sentence right away. Like, see that, oh, you're part of an extreme group and you own a bomb making manual, that you're fucked, right? You're fucked, and that's the case in this. So I say this to everyone, right? If you want to own the Anarchist Cookbook, then go ahead, right? I support your freedom to do so. However, like, it will be used against you if you ever get in trouble. Police also found extreme far-right material, including videos praising Adolf Hitler, white supremacist songs, and a poster for the banned British neo-Nazi group National Action. John has been jailed after the Attorney General's office referred his sentence to the Court of Appeal under the unduly lenient sentencing scheme, and that was something that was pioneered by Hope Not Hate. They were the ones that pushed for that. He appeared by video link in a dark shirt for part of Wednesday's hearing at the Royal Courts of Justice. The Court of Appeal was told the sentencing judge suspended John's prison sentence after the ex-student promised to stop his interest in far-right ideologies. However, John had been liking Nazi-themed content online just 5 days after promising the judge he had put it behind him, Solicitor General Alex Chalk QC said. Oh, Ben. Right, if you ever get any trouble with the police, right, and like, see if you ever get arrested and you're awaiting trial, they are watching your social media. They are watching your social media like a hawk. It happened to me throughout Nazi Pug. They were watching all of my social media, right? Just stop me fucking stupid. Mr. Chalk argued that while the sentence was intended to allow for potent control over John's rehabilitation, this idea in the circumstances was manifestly false. During his sentencing, John was invited by a judge to read famous works including Pride and Prejudice and A Tale of Two Cities, as he was given a 5-year serious crime prevention order and the suspended sentence with an extra year on licence. Richard Wormald, QC for John, argued the Anarchist Cookbook was a counterculture publication that he had downloaded in his early teens but had not accessed since. He also said it was part of John's library, which also contained Marxist literature and books on gardening and baking. After a 2.5 hour hearing on Wednesday morning, I would see all that, even though, oh, well, I've got loads of different books about it. That doesn't work in court. They don't care. They don't care about what other books you have. All they care about is that you own the anarchist cookbook. After a 2.5 hour hearing on Wednesday morning, 3 senior judges quashed his original sentence and replaced it with a sentence of 2 years in prison and a third year on licence. Lord Justice Holroyd sitting with Mr. We're going to talk about his sentence in a wee minute, by the way. Lord Justice Holroyd sitting with Mr. Justice Lavender and Sir Nigel Davis said certain offences require a mandatory year on licence. However, a combined suspended sentence and licence cannot be longer than 2 years, meaning that John's sentence was unlawful. The senior judges found that while the original length of the sentence was very lenient, it was not unduly so, and the sentence was only quashed due to the legal issue. John will now have to surrender himself to a police station before 4 p.m. on Thursday, the judges ruled. Addressing him after giving their decision, Lord Justice Holroyd said, "You will have to serve at least 2/3 of the 2-year period." So that's him being sent to prison. Now, let's have a look at this, and I can tell you what the outcome's going to be, because I've spoken to an awful lot of people who have been exactly in Ben's situation. He was arrested for certain far-right activities, but the main thing that nailed him was the copy of the anarchist cookbook. Like, that's the main thing that nailed him. So obviously he's going in there thinking, this is extremely unfair. I had no intention whatsoever of building a bomb or, going on a mass attack or anything like that. But the fact that he owned that book alone let the courts convict him. So he's already feeling pretty pissed off at this point. But the judge then throws him a bone and says, I'm going to give you the opportunity to rehabilitate yourself and leave this hateful ideology behind and better yourself and become a better man, become a better person. So read some classic English literature. And he was invited back after a while, and the judge asked him about the books. He says there was one of them he didn't really prefer, but he really liked the other one. And he says that he was apparently, and then the judge said, there are some things I've noticed. I hope you will stop that behaviour. And I believe that was the liking the posts and everything. But he did seem to be making progress and becoming de-radicalised. Then what happened was a lot of left-wing organisations, namely Hope Not Hate, were not happy with that. Even though you would think that, I thought your idea was to stop Nazis from being a thing, so shouldn't de-radicalisation be the thing that you're going for then? But no, they didn't want rehabilitation. They didn't want any of that. They went, oh, this guy got off easy. He needs to be punished. And that's what they wanted, right? So basically, you're Ben, and you're already annoyed at the court. Then you get thrown a bone and you think, okay, that's brilliant. Yes, I'll do my best to become a better person. And then these left-wing groups who apparently want you to be left-wing too come in and go, that's not good enough. We're going to send you away. We are going to send you away. So he's even angrier now because they're coming after him. And then he's being dragged back into court and told, no, you're getting a 2-year sentence because the left groups pressured us into fucking doing it. And he's going to do 2 years in prison, and given his location, there's going to be a lot of Muslims in those prisons as well. Muslims don't tend to like Nazis very much. So after his 2-year sentence, when he comes out of there, do you think he's going to be rehabilitated? Do you think he's going to be reformed? Do you think he's going to have abandoned his Nazi far-right ways? No, he won't. He's going to be 100 times worse. I've spoken to people who have been in Ben's situation. Some of them have done 6 months. One of them I know has done 5 years. See, every single one of them, when they come out, 100 times more radicalised. They're just so much better at hiding it. Right? This creates extremists. This creates extremists. And Hope Not Hate know that. Hope Not Hate actually want there to be extremists, because as soon as the problem they're advocating against is actually solved, the money dries up. Money dries up. Every group should be advocating for its own demise because they're not needed anymore because the problem's solved. That's meant to be the goal. However, money's nice, isn't it? And basically, like, this is why everyone's defending Nazis, defending Nazis. I want the Nazis to be reformed. I don't want them to be Nazis anymore. See, by doing this, you make it so much fucking harder. You make it so much fucking harder. Like, yeah, this is just... I've spoken about it enough, but this is the wrong fucking way to go about this. If he went out and actually committed an attack, like he was hitting people in the street and all that, then yeah, whatever, okay, he should be jailed because a crime was committed, right? But he's being punished for ideas in his head and a book that he owned, right? He's sitting in the jail right now thinking about that, thinking about how unfair that is. And he's got 2 years to have thoughts like that. And he's going to be suffering for those 2 years. And who is he going to blame? Who's he going to blame for it? Yes, it's going to be the people who claim to want to save him and make the world a better place. And he's going to come out of that prison fucking despising you and hating you. Right? And he's going to come out of here 100 times worse. Possibly unsavable. This type of thing does not fucking work. It doesn't fucking work. The government actually knows it doesn't work, by the way. The government is doing this on purpose. It wants these extremists. Because when there's a lot of extremists and there's a lot of risk, the governments get to pass more laws. If it makes you scared enough of all these extremists walking around, then the governments get to pass more laws. It's funny that. They've been doing it for the last 30 years, and every time we fucking fall for it.